to Real Possibilities with AARP, because AARP believes no one's possibilities are ever limited as they age. Hi, I'm Elaine Warner. I'm your host for today's program. I'm on staff with the AARP Connecticut nonprofit statewide office. We come to you in your local community with AARP's purpose in mind, and that is to empower you to choose how you live as you age. And we are going to empower you today, hopefully, to become more active. We're going to tell you how to engage in some events where you can hopefully feel healthier, stay active, possibly even win a medal doing it. The name of our show today is the Connecticut Masters Game, Pickleball, and more. And I know you're dying to know what pickleball is. You got to stay tuned to find out. We will get to it. So let me mention also in what we talk about today that this episode is being taped, could be aired at any time, so that in all that we do regarding our community activities, we maintain and advise following CDC state and local health guidelines. So, show again today, Connecticut Masters Games, Pickleball, and more. And I'd like to welcome my guests. Firstly, Erica Michalowski. Erica, welcome. Nice to see you again. Yeah. And Erica is the AARP Connecticut Community Outreach Director. Erica has forged a long-term business relationship with AARP Connecticut and my other guest organization. And I want to introduce him. That is Patrick T. Fisher. Welcome, Patrick, to Real Possibilities with AARP Connecticut.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is a pleasure. And Patrick is the Executive Director of Connecticut Sports Management Group, Inc. Patrick, you're going to empower our audience today, our viewers, about staying healthy and active with a particular focus on the 50-plus population all the way into your 90s. But any age, you can watch this program today, so I hope you will stay with us. So welcome to both of you. And Patrick, the Connecticut Masters Games, 1,700 participants, ages 30 through 90, 14 events. We're going to get to all the details of the Masters Games. But before we do, first, just tell us briefly a little bit about your background and how did you end up getting connected with the Connecticut Masters?
Excellent. I grew up always playing sports. I've been involved in a lot of different activities. I went to Xavier High School, played soccer, basketball, football there. I ended up going to Nichols College, which is a small business school in Dudley, Massachusetts, where I played a little soccer. And at that time, they had just started their sports management program. And I think I was the second class that graduated with that degree. Part of our curriculum is we had to do 2 internships. And one of the internships that I selected to do was with the Nutmeg State Games in my junior year. And I thoroughly fell in love with event management and running large-scale amateur events. By the time I graduated in 2001, they had a position open, and I jumped at the chance, and luckily they snatched me up. So I've been there for a little over 20 years, running various events from the Nutmeg Games, the Masters Games, and really thoroughly enjoy being involved putting on amateur events, competitive athletics.
Well, there was a real simpatico there, Patrick. It was meant to be, and this has become your main career. And we at AARP Connecticut are very happy about that and the partnership that we've forged with you. And Patrick, before we talk specifically about the Connecticut Masters Games, we're going to roll some tape here to give our viewer an overview of what the Connecticut Masters Games are all about. So take a look.
The Connecticut Masters Games is the second largest event that we manage.
It's great fun.
If you're retired, it's a great place to get some exercise, to get out and meet people.
The camaraderie, it's all this friendship.
You get to compete with people who are in your age group and doing the events that a lot of us did back when we were in high school or college.
You go out there to do your best. It's just a great way of staying healthy.
About 1,700 athletes between the ages of 30 and 90 years old compete in 14 events annually.
I like the 50 meter because I can see how fast I can go. I do track and field, I do the long jump, the shot put, and I do the 50 meter.
I throw the discus, javelin, hammer, and the shot.
I compete in the 100, 200, 400 meter sprints. Oh, I've been competing for so many years, I've lost count.
I won my own medal, so I decided to participate in track. Unfortunately, I didn't win the gold, but I did get the silver.
And there we go. Boy, I loved Mike at the end coming out, and he said, I didn't get the gold, but I got the silver. And there was Spencer, holding the medals. These are familiar faces to you, Patrick. So Patrick, let's define for our viewer, how did the Connecticut Masters Games come about, and tell us a little bit about them.
Sure. So the first games were started in 1979 at the University of Bridgeport. And they stayed down there for a little bit, and then they moved around a little bit. They were in Southington, mainly, the town of Southington. In 2001, the organization that had been running them had gotten a little older. They had fallen on some hard times on, finding enough financial support to run this event. And at that time, they approached our board of directors and the previous executive director, Bill Madano, and asked if we would consider folding the Connecticut Senior Games, which they were called at that point, into our organization. Our board jumped at the chance to take on this event, and in 2002, it became part of our annual events that we run. And over the years, we've changed the name. We went from Connecticut Senior Olympics to Connecticut Senior Games, and then we've transitioned that name into the Connecticut Masters Games because we really think that that label, Masters, represents our audience a little bit better than Senior.
We like that label a lot. And, just to reiterate again, we're talking about 1,700 participants, Patrick. Ages go from 30 to 90 plus. Unbelievable. 14 different events. So we're so proud of your leadership and our partnership. And speaking of that partnership, Erica Michalowski, she is the Director of Community Outreach with the AARP nonprofit office. And Erica, you, I want to say it was probably almost 10 years ago, you'll have to let me know, but that we forged a partnership with Connecticut Masters. How did that all come about?
Well, yeah, it probably is about 10 years, Patrick. I think we had we had been approached by Patrick to partner in some way to think about how AARP could become a part of the local activities that are taking place in Connecticut. And so we started thinking through, how can we support each other, making it mutually beneficial. And for us, it just made sense because our volunteers love to be in the community. They're a part of the community. And there were so many people that were already engaged on what you were doing. And so that became the beginning of a wonderful, long-standing relationship that we had, highlighting a lot of the work that we do at AARP, like Disrupt Aging, which is just the epitome of what the games offer, and livable communities, understanding what places there are to recreate and be a part of. And also we also try to create these opportunities to offer educational and informative ways of engaging not only the athletes, but people that were spectators at the event. So we've hosted a number of different events throughout the years. There's too many to even think about, but it's just been a wonderful partnership. It also allowed our volunteers to be able to participate as ambassadors for AARP, and that was just a wonderful experience. Going from the medal ceremonies to timekeeping. We even had a volunteer or two taking pictures over the years, which was really wonderful. They got to show those skills that they offered. So it's been a great partnership that will continue on.
Terrific. And Erica, you mentioned some of the specific program areas with AARP Connecticut that are so compatible. Disrupt Aging, livable communities. It's, we say we like a lot of our events to be fun with purpose. Certainly this one is. But just elaborate a little bit more from what you said. How do you choose the program area? And Fraud Watch was under consideration too as another area. Talk a little bit about the program areas and how you choose and match them with the Connecticut Masters.
Well, usually it starts with Patrick calling me up and saying, hey, it's time to meet. And we do that the year prior to starting our relationship. So I believe it was last year we all met and we talked about what was going to be different. So we'll just talk about the year that we're in right now. We talked about all the different aspects, the changing venues, and what the activities would be. And so we think about who do we have, and what would make sense for this year. And so I remember thinking about our Fraud Watch program, and we had been there before a couple of times. We've hosted a number of events during some of the games, in between the games, and really thinking about what would people want to know as they're having some fun with purpose, about how to keep themselves and their families safe from consumer fraud, financial exploitation, all of the different things that are associated with that program. One year we had, for the livable communities, we had the House on Wheels, where we had a showcase of technology of what you could do to adapt your home to make it more livable. And then we had different people that were talking about aspects of adaptive devices and making things easier to be independent in your own community, in your own home, in your setting of your choice. The Disrupt Aging one was even was one that was really fun, because we offered the athletes a little bit of swag of being able to show them that they are disrupting aging every day. And so that was one that resonated really well with people. So we just had people walking around talking about the movement and asking people what they were doing in their own lives, and that was a really wonderful experience. So each year we decide what's going to happen just based on what's happening that year.
Thank you, Erica. And of course, Disrupt Aging and the Connecticut Masters, there couldn't be a better synergy than that. It really tells it all, because Disrupt Aging has to do with breaking down the stereotypes of how we're aging. And if you've just tuned in, you're watching Real Possibilities with AARP Connecticut. The title of our show today, Connecticut Masters Games, Pickleball and More. We'll get to pickleball. Stay tuned. I just love to say that. Had to put it in the title. So we'll get to that in a moment. But Patrick, if you could, and Patrick, again, is the executive director of the Connecticut Sports Management Group, and he oversees the administrative side of the Connecticut Masters Games and partners with AARP Connecticut. But Patrick, you have spoken so fondly of the partnership with AARP. Just you know, Erica spoke about it, but just from your perspective, the partnership that you share with us.
You know, it's been a tremendous help to us over the years. I don't think the organization would have been as successful as we have been without their support. You know, not only do they provide us with volunteers and some financial support, but they help us communicate this opportunity for people to participate in our events. You know, we're a very small not-for-profit corporation. We have 3 people full-time and 1 person part-time. So our marketing budget is limited. And Erica and the rest of the AARP team have been able to communicate that this opportunity exists, which has been a really big help to us. And you know, it's helping us get the word out about the games. And
fun with purpose, as we say. We have fun together. So now we're going to get to pickleball, and we're going to go to a video on that. Patrick tells me it's the fastest growing sport in the United States, so I had to feature it here in our program. So we're going to roll some tape right now. If you never heard of pickleball, look.
I'm Janice Pauley. I'm the director of the tournament for the Connecticut Senior Games Pickleball Tournament that we have going on here in Ridgefield today. And I'm really excited about, you know, what's going on here with the games, and everybody's having a great time playing. And in Ridgefield, we have pickleball for all ages, and this is just such a great sport. I'm just so glad we're involved in it. We get the opportunity to play for seniors, for children, for adults. You know, all ages can play the game of pickleball. So I just want to let everybody know how great pickleball is for everyone, and invite you all to play.
It was last year I started. I started in the Villages. We went down there for a vacation, and there was a lot of people playing, and so I joined in, and it's fun. Got addicted to it. Person of my age, 73, it's good eye-hand coordination, and there's not a lot of places to move on a court, so you don't have a lot of running like you do in tennis.
It's great for all ages, all people. It's just a lot of fun, a lot of camaraderie with everyone.
The Ridgefield Parks and Rec Center here has been fantastic. There are 4 nice courts. They have a lot of newcomers coming up through the ranks, and it's just a lot of fun.
The pickleball players are always interested in showing people how to play. It takes about 10 minutes to learn how to play pickleball. And if you have any skills at all, if you can play ping pong, you can play pickleball. That's one of the big things. Anybody can pick it up and learn it. And if you're a tennis player, you can pick up and play it at a high level almost right away.
It's a great game for all ages, for everybody. It's a great game, very energetic, great way to stay in shape. It's how I stay in shape. So come on down.
And I love the ending of that with that athlete, older athlete saying, one of the Connecticut Masters saying, what a great way to stay in shape. So we're empowering you today with ARP's purpose, and that is to empower you to choose how you live as you age. And one way to choose could be getting involved in the Connecticut Masters game. So Patrick, let's talk about getting involved. Volunteers are so critical to the process. Number one, shall we just throw out your website there? If somebody wants to find out or sign up or apply for volunteering, they go to
ctmastersgames.org.
Okay, and we'll put that up on the screen as well. And Eric had mentioned some of the duties, skills that are needed to be a volunteer. But what do volunteers do again at the Masters, Patrick?
Sure. So there's a range of opportunities, from checking in athletes, handing out athlete gift bags, helping with medal presentations, working at some of the sport events, whether you're working at a scoring table, helping keep score at a 3-on-3 basketball, running the score clock, or working at one of our individual sport events where you'd be working, with some sort of official. Say it was track and field, you'd be with a USA track and field official, helping record data, whether it's a distance or a time for the results. So there's a slew of different opportunities, and obviously with the size of some of our events, we need a lot of support volunteers.
So again, they would go to www.connecticutmastersgames.org. And Patrick, tell our viewer a little bit about when do the Masters Games actually take place?
Primarily our events run from, the beginning of April through the end of June. Obviously this year, everything's been a little bit disrupted with COVID, and we've moved everything that we had scheduled for that time period to the fall. We'll be watching very closely what happens over the next months. We're hopeful that we might be able to put something on, but at this point, I'm not very confident.
So again, depending on when you're watching this show, we are taping it as of June 2020. You may be watching it after the fact, but if you're watching it in an earlier time frame, again, you can go to www.connecticutmastersgames.org, check their schedule, see what might be happening in the fall of 2020 for actual participation. And Erica, you talked about ARP volunteers getting involved in this previously. How do they get involved? How do they apply? Beyond, can they apply through you directly, or better to go to the Masters website? And what do they do?
So a great question. And I just have to say the pickleball, I think, if you remember, it took me forever to not say pickle barrel, forever. And so once I got the information on what that was about, and then I would talk about it with our volunteers. Oh yes, we have to participate. Yes, that's a really great one. And I felt like I was missing the boat on something. So now I know all about it, and that's wonderful. So what we do is there's no wrong door. You can come in through me. You can email me directly. I have to tell you, every time it's around that time, if I haven't sent out the notice to our team of multiple volunteers that love working with Patrick and his team, I get a notice, when are we going to be working it? And people have their favorite events that they like to do, the basketball, men's or women, all the different, the track and field, you name it, they want to do it. So we always welcome people. We've gotten a number of volunteers through our partnership where they had come in through the Connecticut Masters game, and then they found out about some other things that they were doing. And so they can come and find out through me. You can put my email on the screen, or you can call me at 860-548-3163. No matter which way you want to do it, the qualification is that you want to have fun. You want to feel a part of something that's larger than yourself, and you want to give back to the community in some way that makes sense to you. So those are my qualifications. Once I hear from you, I will connect you with Patrick and his team. It's more of like a direct contact. You can go through the website, but I love working with your team, and I'll follow up and make sure people have what they need. We are ambassadors. We have our AARP ambassadors wear their AARP shirts in red throughout the whole time that they're there, so people know that we support this really wonderful organization that is very vital to our community in Connecticut.
Great, great. And, if you want to volunteer, whether it's the Connecticut Masters or, Erica's mentioned Disrupt Aging, the Fraud Watch Network, Livable Communities, the list goes on and on, advocacy, just a whole bunch of programs under community outreach. You can call me directly also. I am the program specialist for volunteer engagement, Elaine Warner, 860-548-3169. If you want to find out any information about these other programs, aarp.org/CT. Lots of events there. We're adding all the time, so you want to look at that website very, very frequently. And Patrick, you and I spoke earlier on before the show of some other events that the Connecticut Sports Management Inc. does. One in particular I wanted you to mention, the holiday basketball, because that's extremely popular, is it not?
It is. It'll be in its 8th year coming up, and it's for 4th through 8th grade travel basketball teams. Our host is Wesleyan University and Vale Sports Club, both in Middletown. We usually get about 90 teams for a 3-day tournament right after Christmas. It sells out very quickly, but it's been a really fun event. And then we run a full calendar of events under the Connecticut Sports Management Group, from the Connecticut High School football weightlifting competition, coaches clinics, football showcases, obviously the Nutmeg State Games, and we run 3 separate pickleball tournaments each year. So we have about 1,200 athletes that participate in the 3 pickleball tournaments in a calendar year.
Great, great. And Patrick, just tell a little bit about, we are a sponsor. We've sponsored this before, but how are you funded? How is Connecticut Sports Management Inc. funded?
Sure. So our main sources of funding are number one, entry fees to participate, and then sponsorships. We also run 3 separate fundraising events every year. We run a banquet in February where we usually bring in a national sports figure as our keynote speaker. It's at the Aquaturf Club, who does a tremendous job. We run the obligatory golf tournament that every 501c3 runs. So that was scheduled for May. It's going to be in September 21st this year. And then we run a $10,000 raffle. So that's those 3 events are good sources of funding. And then we get some state grants and some municipal grants as well. So those are kind of the main sources of funding for us.
And of course, AARP Connecticut is proud to be a sponsor year after year. Yeah. Erica, any pitch again for volunteers? If you can let our viewers know, where do they go? What do they do to sign up and when?
So they can contact me directly, or they can go to Patrick's website for Connecticut Masters Games. You can contact me at emichalowski@aarp.org, or you can go to 860-548-3163. We'll see what's happening for us this year, but we are definitely going to be there next year. So we want to make sure that everybody is aware of what's available to them when it makes sense for them.
Very good. And Erica, thank you so much for being a guest today. Always,
pleasure.
Erica and I are colleagues, always good to partner with you, and what a fun event. And I think we both have to look into pickleball, right?
Yes, we have
to. Yes. Thanks for being here, Erica.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. And Patrick, just a final comment from you briefly. Again, if people want to volunteer, just give them the logistics on that.
Sure. ctmastersgames.org. You don't have to have a sports background. We would love you to get involved in some capacity. So again, ctmastersgames.org for all your information on the games.
Terrific. I want to thank both my great guests today, Erica Michalowski. She is the Director of Community Outreach. She is on staff with the AARP Connecticut nonprofit statewide office. Erica, thanks for being here. And Patrick T. Fisher is the Executive Director of the Connecticut Sports Management Inc. group, and we partner with each other on the Connecticut Masters game. So thank you both. Appreciate you being on our show. And I want to thank you as a viewer. If you are a member of ARP, you are amongst 600,000 plus people in the state of Connecticut as members. And we will return again to your local community. But if you'd like to find out more about activities and events with AARP Connecticut, www.aarp.org/CT. Many ways for you to get involved as a volunteer, whether virtually or otherwise down the road. Feel free to contact me, Elaine Werner, Program Specialist, Volunteer Engagement, AARP Connecticut, 860-548-3169. Thanks for watching. We will come back to you in your local community. Stay tuned and look for us. Real Possibilities with AARP Connecticut. Thanks.